Welcome, people of planet Earth and all planets beyond. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Josh, and it is super cold here in the Midwest, but we're going to still talk about vintage Screen Stars tags and how to date them. Let's get into it. Now, if you have seen our vintage Fruit of the Loom care tag video, you realize that Screen Stars is actually just a subsidiary of Fruit of the Loom. So up until about 1980, Fruit of the Loom produced blank t-shirts under sort of the name Fruit of the Loom. Sometimes they weren't even designated a particular brand on the blank tee, but in 1980, Fruit of the Loom started Screen Stars, and we started seeing tags from Screen Stars. This carried on until about 1992 or 93, around there, where Fruit of the Loom sort of took back the branding. Screen Stars was pretty much shut down by 1994 or so, and we saw Fruit of the Loom tags take over the Fruit of the Loom blank market. But this 15-year period of Screen Stars tags was super influential, and some of the best graphic tees on the planet have Screen Stars tags attached to them. The 1980s was really the heyday of the graphic t-shirt. It became popular all over culture to wear t-shirts, specifically with band t-shirts, with video games, with your favorite TV shows. All over the world, graphic t-shirts were in the 1980s. So we're going to take a look at a bunch of the tags from this era to give you a better idea and how to approximate the age of your particular t-shirt. Now, while tags are some of the best ways to determine the age of your particular t-shirt, you do need to remember that blank t-shirts were stocked by screen printing companies, and so a t-shirt from 1983 might have been stocked and not printed on until 2 or 3 years later. So it may not necessarily be the most specific way to identify it, but it certainly gives you a pretty general and approximate date for your shirt. There are other ways to date t-shirts. Check the eye above for a link to a video that can really help you narrow it down using other methods that might be a bit more specific if your care tag doesn't really get you as close as you want, or if you don't have a care tag at all. Alright, the first tag we're going to look at is the Proto tag, and this is the Proto Screen Stars tag that was made by Fruit of the Loom. We know it's Fruit of the Loom by the RN number, which is the textile identification number for the company that made these t-shirts, but other than that, there's almost no branding. So if you find a t-shirt like this, it's likely from the mid to late 70s, as in 1980, Fruit of the Loom really started the Screen Stars brand tags. So the earliest actual Screen Stars tags from 1980 and the early 80s look like this. You can see that they have Screen Stars boxed in with actually some little stars here and there. Most of these are going to be the polycotton blends, that are 50% polyester and 50% cotton. This was incredibly popular in the 80s, as most t-shirts were not desirable in 100% cotton. Everyone loved the new sort of feel of the polycotton, the stretch and all that stuff. It really sculpted the look of the 1980s, and polycotton was really in. You can also see this tag here is called Super Screen Stars. Super Screen Stars is sort of another variation of the polycotton t-shirts at the time. They may have had some fit differences than the normal basic Screen Stars, but these are all from the very early 1980s. Now to the mid-80s, one of the Screen Stars tags sort of takes prevalence. It's far more common, and it's this guy right here. This Screen Stars tag loses the box sort of logo, loses the stars, and just has Screen Stars on it. This was very common in the mid-80s, and if you have a t-shirt with this on, it's most likely from that mid-80s era. So the white and off-white versions of the Screen Stars tags would dominate the mid-80s until around 1987, when the black Screen Stars Best tag sort of became the dominant tag for the next 3 or 4 years. This is perhaps one of my favorite Screen Stars tags, and it says Screen Stars Best. I find tons of t-shirts with this tag. It carried on from around 1987 all the way into the early 90s before being being replaced, this was one of the most quintessential vintage tags that you need to be familiar with. It also came with a blue accent, as well as you can see here. Now, in the early 90s, Fruit of the Loom started to reduce Screen Star's sort of dominance and replaced their Screen Stars line with the Fruit of the Loom branded t-shirts. You can actually see this particular tag here looks very much like the Screen Stars tag we just mentioned, but it is simply just Fruit of the Loom. It became Fruit of the Loom's best. This was Fruit of the Loom sort of taking back the branding, not having a secondary subsidiary line, and trying to focus the attention back on themselves. Now, that doesn't mean Screen Stars was completely done. You can see these two tags from like 1993, 1994 era that sort of kept the Screen Stars theme going, though they did include Fruit of the Loom on the branding as well. This was about the death knell for Screen Stars right here at the mid-90s and ending its 15-year run of awesomeness. So if your Screen Stars tees includes Fruit of the Loom branding, this is a mid-90s Screen Stars tee, and if it does not have any Fruit of the Loom direct branding, it is likely from like 92 and earlier. Now, there are other small variations of this particular tag, but generally speaking, you've seen some of the major ones. If you need to see more variations and a fantastic resource for vintage tees, check defunct.com in the description below. They are hands down one of the best educators on vintage tees. They have all kinds of resources. They recently just sort of got kicked back up into gear after being sort of defunct for the last several years, and which is a really awesome case to hear that they are back in business. I remember going to their website many years ago to learn as much as I could. These guys are a great resource, and the link is in the description. Now, again, while these tags can get you pretty close, you may not be all the way, so you may need to use some other methods. Again, check the eye above for the other methods that you can use to determine the age of your t-shirt. Alright, so I hope that quick walk down Screen Stars lane was helpful to get you at least familiar with the tags that you should be looking for out in the wild. Until the next time, we hope to see you guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you later. Peace.